Welcome, Mr. Denome, and welcome to this crypto update. Now, today we will talk about the new crypto ETF that was just announced a couple of days ago. We will talk about the tokenization of assets going into crypto. We will talk about the price of CRO token because the token price is currently going through the roof. There was a major announcement, so I will break that down. We will talk about the Ethereum staking queue because it is massively showing huge amounts of accumulation. So I'll show all of these things, these updates, and then obviously we will look at the fundamentals and the technical analysis as well. Just a brief take on the technical analysis. We are currently respecting this line here. It got a little bit scary when the price fell to $109,000, but since then we have had a bounce to the upside. Now, obviously, in the short term, we have to break through this resistance here, and once we do that, then I expect 120k to be tagged, but as of now, that basically needs to be taken care of before we see a major move to the upside. It could still go to the downside, obviously, but that's basically just a quick take. Now, let me go to the news here. And just before that, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. And also, if you participated in the World Liberty Financial pre-sale, make sure to unlock your WLFI allocation before this Monday, because on Monday this token will become tradable and you have to connect your wallet here and sign a transaction so you are actually able to trade your WLFI tokens or sell them if you want to do that. Now let me go to the news to break things down, what has happened since my last update. The big news that basically started to push the markets higher this week was that President Trump is now looking to fire the Federal Reserve Governor Cook. She is this lady on the right, and he is referencing some misconduct on her parts before she became the Fed governor. Basically, she took, from my understanding, she did some tax. I don't think that's exactly an illegal move, but she basically broke the rules of how you are able to harvest taxes or something like that regarding houses. It doesn't really matter what the explanation is, but after he basically announced firing Cook, the market started to go to the upside here. And the big reason why the market started to go to the upside is because that raised the expectations that there will be rate cuts in September, because Cook has basically been opposing the rate cuts before. So now Trump is going against Cook here. Now, another reason why this is an important move from Trump, in my opinion, is because this lady is a complete DEI hire. As you can see, it says first black woman to sit on the board of Federal Reserve, and then she was a professor of economics and international relationship. And here, let me see. So her research is at the intersection of macroeconomics and economic history, with recent work in African American history and innovation economics. Cook is regarded as one of the few prominent black female economists and has attracted attention with academia for her efforts in mentoring black women and, get this, advocating for their inclusion in the field of economics. Now, inclusion is just another term for racism. It's basically the woke term, and simply means that you discriminate people based on their skin color. So this woman was a racist, and Donald Trump previously made executive orders against the DEI policies. So getting rid of these kind of people, in my opinion, is a good thing. And Donald Trump wants to replace her with somebody called Stephen Miran. Stephen Miran is basically the guy who is the architect of Donald Trump's tariff policies. And Miran earlier was already supposed to replace somebody called Kugler, who already resigned the federal board position back in early August. But as of now, Stephen Miran has not taken a place in the Federal Reserve Board yet, but it's most likely that he will take a position. But I guess there will be a second position because Cook will be fired. But as of now, Cook is unwilling to resign from her post, which means it's going to be a legal battle, and we don't know when she will finally be out from the board. So she could still throw sticks and stones against the rate cuts for September if she so chooses to. But all in all, Marcus basically took this as a bullish sign. Now, another sign where it's basically causing a lot of interest in the crypto markets came from crypto.com, because crypto.com made a partnership with Trump Media Group. So now they're doing a $6.4 billion US a billion dollar treasury play. So what they're going to do is they acquired a company from the I think it was Nasdaq listed York. And what they will do is at completion of this trade, they will rename it as MCGA, which stands for Make CRO Great Again. And for this play, Trump Media Group will become the largest holder of CRO. So Trump Media Group will basically hold 6 billion of the CRO tokens, and that is valued at approximately $1 billion. And the reason, in my opinion, for this move is to basically bribe the current mafia, which is obviously the Trump family. And when they do that, they get exclusive access to the American markets in crypto. So Trump Media Group will acquire $105 million of CRO, and Crypto.com will acquire $50 million worth of DJT stocks in return. And basically, they were gifted this $6 billion CRO in this partnership. And how this benefits Donald Trump is that he basically now has crypto.com has a massive leverage over crypto.com platform. So with this 6 billion CRO tokens, Donald Trump basically can dump the token price to oblivion if he ever chooses to. But he obviously will not do that, because it makes much more sense for them to hold it in their treasury, because it basically boosts their treasury value, and also because he can have all of this leverage against crypto.com, so they will do their bidding. When finally World Liberty Financial will release their USD1 token, obviously that crypto.com platform will basically become de facto USD1 exchange and platform that will host their stablecoin. So it makes sense for Trump to actually keep holding for the 6 billion CRO. And also CRO will become the platform token for Truth Social as part of this move here. And it doesn't end there. What will also happen is that the CRO strategy in the Trump Media Group is expected to have $200 million more cash to acquire more CRO down the line. So that's another $200 million in the future. And then there's a further $5 billion line of credit from the old company to, yes, you guessed it right, to acquire even more CRO. So potentially another $5 billion of CRO purchases in the future. And cumulatively, this will add to an unprecedented amount of dry powder to basically acquire more CRO. And to put this into perspective, if this same amount of capital went into Ethereum treasury companies, it basically would make a dent in the price of Ethereum, because the market cap of Ethereum is already so high. So when we take a look at the market cap of CRO token, is only $11 billion. So if they are able to deploy $5 billion just to basically go to the market and buy CRO tokens, you can basically see where this price of this token is gonna go, and that's basically the reason why it basically bumped 100% in one single day as a result. So it's an insane move, but it's not as bullish obviously as it seems to be, because CRO, what they previously did is they had the token supply of 100 billion tokens, then they burned 70 billion tokens. And after they did that, the token price basically went sky high. And then after the bear market, they decided, okay, let's actually create the 70 billion tokens again. And that caused the token price to basically plummet back to 5 cents per token. And now they after they minted these 70 billion tokens back of CRO, so they burned it, now they made it back. Now they're basically gifting these CRO tokens all across the board to make these briberies or some, like deals. So they don't have to basically sell these CRO tokens. They can just gift them out and make these different kinds of deals. So I don't know how much of this $5 billion is actually gonna go to the open market to buy CRO, and how much of that they will just basically pocket into their chest and say this was an OTC trade, so we're just gonna basically take this money and put it into our back pockets. I think most of this capital will actually go that route rather than go to the open market and basically gift the token holders. But as of now, the token price is pumping to the upside, so that is obviously a nice thing. But I don't think this is as bullish eventually as it seems to be. But all in all, this means also that the Trump Media Group, the 6 billion tokens that they were gifted, there's a 4-year lockup where they will stake their CRO, earn a yield on it, and they cannot unstake it for 4 years. And also the tokens that are given to or sold to the York company, the future MCGA company, those will be staked for 12 months for a full lockup, and then partial unlocks every 6 and 12 months. So basically for the next 1 year, there will be no dumping of CRO. That seems to be the promise here. So for the next, let's say 6 months, 1 year, however long the bull run lasts, this is basically the time for CRO to outperform, and then obviously this will become a FUD down the line when this flips to the other way and they basically start unlocking, or the fear of unlocks start to hit the markets. So CRO could still do quite well. They promise that there will be a flywheel effect, that more CRO will be acquired and they will use the treasury strategy that we're now seeing many companies do. And all in all, basically that's what's going on there, and they already have a new website for this action as well. Now, you probably know this, but back in 2020, I was one of the first crypto YouTubers who started to talk about the crypto.com and show all of these tools here, these cards, what you can get, and the whole platform, how you can earn min-max your profit on this platform. And I still have this icy white card. Currently, you have to spend $65,000 to get the card. Back then, I only had to put $40,000 in a lockup, and the price of the token went high. I unstaked my CRO. I had 260,000 CRO back then, and the value of these tokens were like 40 cents on that time. I unstaked my card. I restaked with the $40,000, and basically I took the rest of the profit out of the markets. So now I have 100,000 CRO tokens. So my current value is roughly $34,000 in this lockup. So that's basically where I'm currently at. So I'm happy to see these pumps, and I'm very happy with the card. I get very nice cash rewards, and then I get like a weekly yield on top of my stake. So if you want any of these cards, make sure to use the link in the description, or the referral code denome to get, like, I think they give $35 nowadays as an affiliate reward. So if you want to get one of these cards, that's basically my promo for that. Then we have an update from Chainlink. So the first thing that I do want to mention about Chainlink is that on August 26th, there was an SEC registration for a Chainlink ETF. So this is now a new ETF that will most likely go through, and there will be a Chainlink ETF. So this is a major news because this will bring more investors into the Chainlink token. And then Chainlink made a post about the Chainlink endgame. So for that, let me go straight to the blog here, there's some interesting points here that I do want to mention. So what is the Chainlink endgame? The endgame is to integrate the real world with tokenized assets. So tokenized real world assets is the endgame for Chainlink, and Chainlink is currently the only all-in-one Oracle platform that can basically make this into a reality. So going down here, the Boston Consulting Group projects that there will be $16 trillion in tokenized illiquid assets by 2030, approximately 10% of global GDP. While World Economic Forum, which we all love and know, they estimate that tokenization could target up to $867 trillion in financial assets. Basically all of the global assets on the planet would be on chain. Now, I think that's a little bit unrealistic goal. Even the $16 trillion as of now sounds a little bit crazy. But if anything close comes to reality, then Chainlink might be massively undervalued with the market cap of just a couple of, I think, what is the Chainlink market cap? $25 billion, something like that. So Chainlink could become a household name if this becomes an actual reality. So what is Chainlink currently doing is that it's operating as a global standard for powering on-chain finance, providing key data, cross-chain, compliance, privacy, and orchestration Oracle infrastructure all in one. And already Chainlink is working with companies like Swift, Euroclear, MasterCard, JP Morgan, Kinexus, Fidelity International, UPS, Apex Group, ANZ Bank, SBI Digital, and many, many, many more. So Chainlink is basically the cross section between the traditional finance and crypto. If any of the traditional companies want to get access to crypto, one way or another, they will be exposed to Chainlink. Chainlink is, in my opinion, uh, the second most important crypto project after Ethereum, basically. And then they obviously mentioned my best friend here, Lido Finance, and they even mentioned it at the bottom here. But this is like a very lengthy post, as you can see by the size of this. So when I scroll all the way down here, they basically say how good their protocol is. But I was just happy to see at the end here that they're talking about Lido Finance, how Chainlink is being used in Lido Finance's layer 2 cross-chain token protocol. But all in all, that's basically it for Chainlink, just major updates and major adoption for that as well. Then I do want to mention this about the staking queue with Ethereum. So the exit queue now is 1,082,000 Ethereum. And previously, in my previous update, this was about 850,000 Ethereum. So now we have seen an increase of 250,000 Ethereum exiting the staking queue. And that means that people are now just trying to escape the Ethereum staking as fast as they can. But when we take a look at the entry queue, this is where it gets interesting because the entry queue used to be 150,000 and now it's 750,000, which means that the exit queue has increased by 200,000 Ethereum, but the entry queue has increased by 600,000 Ethereum. That means that at the same time as people are exiting the Ethereum staking, a lot of people are currently entering the Ethereum staking. And this means Ethereum is currently being accumulated in the long-term hands very rapidly. And also, I had some time to contemplate on this validator queue situation. This is extremely bullish for Lido Finance and the liquid staked Ethereum ecosystem. So let me explain. The Ethereum staking ETFs that will launch somewhere in Q3 and Q4 this year, most likely. One of the key things that they have to promise investors is sufficient liquidity. And if people want to exit the staked Ethereum ETF, the ETF has to provide exit liquidity. And currently, as you can see with the Ethereum validator queue exit time, this exit time is currently basically 3 weeks. So if you want to exit the Ethereum stake, as of now, it will take you 3 weeks to do that. So if these staked Ethereum ETFs provide their own Ethereum staking service, and the people want to exit that, this is completely illiquid, which means that the Ethereum staked Ethereum ETFs have to use liquid staked Ethereum as part of their staked Ethereum ETF solution, because that's the only way they can sell their positions. Even they sell it at a minor loss, but they can still exit their positions because you can sell it on the open market. Whereas this Ethereum staked on traditionally, you just have to wait for the Ethereum to get out of this exit queue. So for this reason, I believe it is actually bullish for the Lido Finance and the liquid staking tokens. So anyway, that's basically my take on that. Now, looking at Google Trends and going into fundamentals, when we take a look at Bitcoin and crypto searches on Google, they have completely plummeted basically back to the bear market lows. So the interest on Bitcoin was only 20, whereas the interest for crypto is currently at 10, which means that the retail investors just came in, they were dumped on, and now the interest from retail investors is basically almost at zero once again. So this is actually bullish because it means that most likely the retail investors have already sold their tokens. So now if the price is currently stable or slightly going up, that means that the buyers who now buy crypto assets are actually whales and not retail investors, which means that the whales expect to dump on retail investors in the future. So right now, this is one of the most bullish charts that I currently see on the market. So I just wanted to show you guys this, that retail investors are currently not on the market. They have most likely sold already. Now, when we take a look at the Bitcoin treasuries, we have another company in this list here. So in my previous update, I think the number was 305. It could have been 304, but I'm not 100% sure which one it was. So at least one new entity in this list here. I believe it was a company from Thailand because Thailand has made a lot of pro-crypto changes in their policies lately. So a Thai company, because I'm following BitcoinTreasuries.net on X, so I think it was a Thai company that adopted the Bitcoin Treasury standard. But then when we take a look at the percentage change in the last 30 days, this has plummeted once again. So this was previously 4% in the last 30 days, then it fell down to 2.6%, and now it's only 1.66%. So a lot of Bitcoin slowing down going into these Bitcoin treasury companies. So let's see how this will continue in the future. But all in all, this is still some growth. And we saw Michael Saylor buying $300 million worth of Bitcoin into their treasury as well. So a lot of slowing down on this part here. Then on the Ethereum front, we are seeing more companies basically acquire a lot of Ethereum. So Bitmain bought 190,000 Ethereum, ETHZilla bought 7.6 thousand Ethereum, and Sharplink Gaming bought 56,000 Ethereum since my last update. So quite a bit of Ethereum purchases. And when we take a look at the Ethereum ETFs, the Ethereum ETFs have only been buying over the last week, which is very nice to see, obviously. And the Bitcoin ETFs have also turned to the green side here. Not huge greens, like $200 million, $80 million, and another $80 million. So not a lot of buying for Bitcoin ETFs. Seems like most of the interest is currently on the Ethereum front, and it seems to me that increasingly the altcoins start popping off left and right. So it seems like we might see some continuation in the altcoin season. CRO was just the biggest one we saw for now. Now, going further into the fundamentals, when we take a look at the supply of Bitcoin on exchange reserves, unfortunately, we did see quite a bit of Bitcoin entering into the exchange wallets when the price of Bitcoin continued to fall to the downside here. So that has not been great. But what has been good is when we take a look at the stablecoin market cap, the stablecoin market cap has increased about $2 billion in the last week. So this was a very nice growth in stablecoins. Very cool to see. Oh, by the way, I do want to mention one more thing from the Chainlink paper here, if I can find it. So they had an illustration here of how much capital they believe will go into stablecoins in the next 5 years. So let me see if I can find that illustration, because that may be quite bullish for TRX token. So tokenization will be $16 trillion by 2030. That we already know. But take a look at this. Stablecoins will be $3.7 trillion by 2030, according to Citigroup. So if stablecoins will be $3.7 trillion, that means that the stablecoin market cap will go more than 10x. It basically will go 15x from these current price levels. So if we see a massive bull run like that on stablecoins, if this is actually true and not just some hype to get the retail investors excited and then the whales dump on us, then any asset like Tron Network that hosts stablecoins like Ethereum blockchain, they will become immensely valuable as well. Like the expectations, like a 2x, 3x, they are nowhere near what they will be worth eventually. So keep that in mind that if this is true, I'm not saying it is, but if that is true, then the stablecoin market cap will continue to grow exponentially, and that will be good for crypto. Nothing else really interesting on this here. For short-term fundamentals, in my previous update, I showed you guys this liquidation zone that it might actually get tagged. I wasn't really betting on it that it would get tagged, but it got tagged anyway. But right now, it is clear that the brightest colors are currently going all the way to 120K. So this is the liquidation zone that is likely that Bitcoin will go towards in the short term. Now, there is another liquidation zone right below the current price level, obviously, which is starting to grow. And also, if we change from 1 month to a 6-month view, there is liquidations below us as well from a long time back. So here, this is another liquidation zone basically at $107,000. And then that basically stretches all the way to $103,000. So these liquidation levels still exist below us, even though it doesn't show it on the 1 month view. These basically are a little bit scary. Now, I will get back to this information when we go to the technical analysis, but just keep in mind that there's a lot of liquidations currently at 120K in the short term, but we have these old liquidations basically going to $103,000, and then the next level would be basically this 90K level, which also has an open CME gap as well. When we go to the order book, spot order book depth analysis, this is a little bit interesting here, because when we take a look at the totality of long orders and short orders or sell orders, what is interesting to me is that there's basically currently no interest in both sides of the play. So these are almost neutral, almost the same amount of buy orders, same amount of sell orders. But typically what I expect is when the price of Bitcoin goes to a low like that, near a support level, that a lot of spot buy orders will enter the order books. But we actually did not see a lot of activity during this time on the limit orders, which tells me that a lot of people are currently sidelined. I believe a lot of people are currently waiting for the World Liberty Financial Token to unlock. They see how that goes, and when it has been done, I believe a lot of capital will be coming to crypto afterwards. So as of now, I'm just not seeing that much enthusiasm on the limit order side of things. I'm currently not seeing almost any interest from retail investors either with Google Trends as well. So that is interesting. Even the aggregated futures order book is almost neutral as well. And there's very little interest in buying the Bitcoin on futures markets. So as you can see, the current level of long positions for Bitcoin is only 1.17 billion, and the short positions is what is it? Does it even show here? Bids ask 1.16 billion as well. So they are equal. So not a lot of shorting, not a lot of buying either. Just not a lot of interest. So going back to the charts here, right now it is extremely important that Bitcoin would break this price level here. But as of now, this, in my opinion, seems to me that it might be a trap. This is the trap I told you guys in the previous update, that the what Trump wants to do is, obviously he wants to defend this line. The big boys do not want this line to break here. They want it to be bullish. So when the WLFI token launches on Monday, that the markets will be like, okay, there was no crash last week. People did not take their exit money. So now the price will pump to the moon. So right now, I would say it's the fundamentals are very bullish. The big players are buying, but not a lot of them. So the price is currently stagnant. People are waiting for the WLFI token launch. And because of that expectation, honestly, it could go either way. And unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball which way it will go. But if this line breaks to the upside here, then I believe we will go to that 120k price level and we will take the liquidation zone from there. Now, if that happens, then I believe we will go further down next week. And after next week, we finally go back to the upside. So we had the liquidation zone, like I showed you here, at 103k. So it would make sense that we first bump to the upside, then we scare everybody off once again when people take their profits out of the WLFI token. But then afterwards, after the sell the news event, what I believe will happen is a lot of people will still make money from the WLFI play. And once they get the money out of the WLFI, then they suddenly have new dry powder to play with, and they will reinvest that money into the crypto into cryptos. So I believe that next week or at the end of next week or going into the middle of September, when people start to anticipate that there will be the rate cuts, then we finally shoot back to the upside. But next week, I do believe it is still gonna be a dump. Right now, we might break to the upside. If we don't break to the upside, we could go here as well to 103k. If that were to happen, then next week when the WLFI launches, it might not actually even dump further, because most people have already dumped on their Bitcoin, and the people who exit WLFI might just buy Bitcoin outright, and then we go up. So honestly, I don't know which way it goes. It's hard to say, but looking at the long-term chart on Bitcoin, the weekly chart, we unfortunately have this triple bearish divergence here. So we had a lower high and another lower high here on the chart, while we had a higher high and a higher high here on the weekly price chart for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right now basically has to hold this line. If you just look at this line here, Bitcoin is basically already in the bear zone. And if we take a longer line like this, maybe it's better to do like this, I guess. So there's still some room to go to the downside here. Basically, it doesn't matter how you draw it, and it would still be a bull market. But in the short term, the trend is currently negative. So keep this in mind that right now Bitcoin looks bullish. We are getting all of these bullish news, but maybe the whales are just waiting to dump on the retail investors when everything starts looking too bullish. But all in all, right now it's difficult to say which way we go. But fundamentally speaking, in my opinion, when the rate cuts do come in, and when Trump wants to pump his own crypto bags, when he does more plays with USD1, when we see more ETFs, when we see all of these things, then I think the markets will turn around bullish anyway. So even though I fear the worst, I'm currently mostly positioned in long positions. And if we go lower, I will just acquire more Bitcoin. I might take a uh, unrealized loss position for a while, but I'm currently still longing Bitcoin. I have a better feeling that this will not be the end of the market, but in the short term, it's just very hard to say how people will play this market out. But in the short term trend is currently still bearish. We had another lower low on the chart here. We're under the bull trend here. So all in all, it seems like it wants to go down. And after the WLFI launch, there's really no incentive to defend this line anymore. So they might actually let it go. So 120k, then down. That's basically my current best bet on how the market will be going. So in the short term, I'm currently long positioned. If we go to 120k, I'll be taking profits off and then I go down. If it just goes straight down, then I will be holding a unrealized loss position. But that's it. That's the update for today. And again, if you want the CRO card, you can use the link below or use the code denome to get in here. That's it. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys on the next one, and bye bye.